Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. We are a syndicated Boston-based internet radio station with all the bells and whistles wherever you are in the world, whatever apparatus, whether it's online, you've got the apps, or you're in your car, you can listen to the shows. We are the proud media partner for the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, and they are open. And they are open for in-person and as well as workshops online. And you'll be hearing some of the commercials. There's usually 3 per month that we have 20% off because of our media partnership. So check that out. Well, we have an excellent guest for you today. We are live, and Bob is in the house. So when you call in, he can connect you. And our toll-free number is 833-220-1200. Again, 833-220-1200, and we welcome your comments. You can call in with a question, share a thought, so we really love that when you do. So who is Zora? Sight Unseen, the Dis and Disability with Zora Messing NatanBlut. In her book, Zora shares her personal transformation from suffering, anger, fear, resentment, and self-judgment to her growing self-acceptance, freedom, fearlessness, love, and gratitude. So we're going to be talking about her memoir, and I should mention she is a PT, a physical therapist with 30-year experience in craniosacral therapy and the Alexander technique. She has a master's in Jewish education, a PhD in holistic health, and I can't believe all the things that she has accomplished, and she's just, I think, realizing it now. So without further ado, Zora, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Deborah. I've been looking forward to this.
Yes, and what I said is so true, Zora. With reading your book, you've accomplished. I mean, not everyone has a master's or a PhD. I mean, many people may not even be going to college. They may not have the opportunity for that. And then all the other things that you've accomplished, you're quite an amazing individual.
Why, thank you. Thank you. I must say I hated school from the beginning to the end, but my mother was a teacher, and I had to go, and all she asked is that I pass. She didn't, I didn't have to be an A student.
Yes. Now, was she still with us when you received your master's or your PhD?
No, unfortunately.
Oh. But I know that she knows where she is. She can see all things, and I bet she's tickled because even though you didn't like school, look what you accomplished.
Yes, well, I was never told I couldn't do anything, and I believe that, and school was one of the things you just had to push your way through, and it was just a requirement that one had to do, and I can number 2 teachers in my whole school experience who helped me and who I felt were positive influences. A 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Watkins, and because of that, my mother had her tutor me over the summers, so I'd be prepared for the next year's school. And then I had someone in graduate school who just took me under her wing, and this was Jewish education, and I graduated with honors, which shocked the daylights out of me. So.
Yeah, and so here you are. So what compelled you to write the book and release your secret?
Okay, nothing compelled me. I never thought I would write a book. Maybe when my grandchildren were little, I would thought for 1 minute, oh, I'll write about it. This is Grandma. But when I turned 65 and I thought, wow, I'm a senior, and this friend had an honor, and this friend was president of such and such, and I could look at my different friends and how they were so accomplished, and I thought, what have I done? So I sort of said, what do I like to do? And I made some challenges, and I made them physical challenges, educational challenges, religious challenges. And the physical challenges were what took me through a full year from 65 to 66. I did the Susan Komen 3-day 60-mile cancer walk, and I did that with 2 walking buddies. I have been walking most of my life. I enjoy walking, and we used to walk with our kids when they were in strollers, and then when they were in school, we'd walk at 6 o'clock in the morning. These were neighbors, so that we'd be back in time to get the kids on the school bus, and then we could go off to our jobs. So the challenges I picked, as I said, were that walking, which was Susan Komen, and I made $4,800 in donations for cancer research from that walk, which I felt very good about because my favorite sister-in-law, unfortunately, my youngest sister-in-law, passed away from breast cancer about 10 years ago. So I was doing the walks for her or in honor of her. And so that's how it all began. And then I did twice around Central Park, which was once at my 65th birthday and the second and final time at my 66th birthday. And I also did this 1 year with my sister-in-law Amy and another year with my sister-in-law Faye. And at my 66th birthday, we had a great big celebration on the restaurant that used to be at Central Park, Tavern on the Green. I had friends from everywhere come, relatives, even a couple of friends from Israel came for that birthday party for me. So I felt very honored.
Yes, I mean, that is amazing. And, doing all the things that you did, you ended up with getting a gold medal, a silver medal for your work there, and then you also did a swimming competition, and that turned out well. I mean, when I think about all the things that you have done, as I said opening the show, you are quite an accomplished woman. But I also know what many women and many humans, we all strive to do better than what we think we are, and it can be something like a disability that you're experiencing, or it could be something that the child was told by a teacher or a parent, and they don't feel good enough, or they're even coming from a tumultuous childhood, and we're told that they were nothing. So I think most of us really strive to do better, and we question the value that we already are, and that's part of the journey of being here on Earth. I'm
sorry, my parents never told me I had a disability. I didn't know that I didn't see the way everybody else saw. My parents, thank goodness, gave me lots of freedom. I think they supervised me, but I wasn't really aware of that. But there was nothing I wasn't allowed to do. If I wanted to climb a mountain, go ahead. If you don't break your neck, you're lucky. My mother taught me how to ski. And one of the things I did for accomplishment was, at my 66th birthday, I skied a black diamond. And, of course, I had an instructor with me just to make sure I wouldn't go crashing into a snowdrift or whatever. And he sort of led the way down. And there were some very steep areas and moguls, big hills I had to watch out for. It wasn't, I had the form to ski. I just needed someone to guide me away from where I could get in trouble. So that was a big accomplishment.
Do you have an understanding now why your parents didn't really sit you down and explain what was going on and open it up?
Yes. Well, I think it comes, my grandparents were Eastern European Jews, and they were used to staying with their own kind, and one never talked about anything personal, such as finances or health problems or any kind of problem. So everything like that was not discussed. So you only know what you know. If you don't hear, you assume everybody else doesn't hear. And I could see enough to get around without getting into too much trouble. So I didn't think I was different than anybody else until I went to school. And here I am in the third grade. My mother was a teacher, so she made sure that she talked to all my teachers each year. And I don't know exactly what she told them, but more than she told me, that I had a vision problem. So they would put me in the front row, front and center. And third grade is where you start to use the blackboard. And this was the beginning of the year. And I'm sitting, and the teacher's talking about something. And she turns around to face the blackboard, and her back is to us, and I hear taps and scratches and this and that, noises, and everybody in the class is quiet. And then she turns back and she asks somebody in the back row, which two words have the same meaning? And I'm saying, what is she talking about? And then she went on to say, which word is misspelled? And somebody else gave the answer. And I was just bewildered because the blackboard was still a blank blackboard. So when the class finally finished, I sat at my desk dropping things and acting like a klutz. So everybody left. And when everybody left, I took the 5 steps from my desk to the blackboard. And when my nose was about a foot away from the blackboard, lo and behold, there were columns of words, the words the students in the class said. I went back to my desk, and the words disappeared. And I was in total shock, and I couldn't understand how they could see this, and I couldn't. And yes, I did, at that point, was wearing very thick glasses, but in third grade, that didn't make sense to me. And, of course, when I went home, I was too busy with other things to never think to mention it to my mother. So that's how I learned I had a vision problem.
Yeah. I bet. Now, were you confused back then when you first realized it? Because, again, no one really explained it to you?
No, it was just one of those things I just said, well, I guess that's the way it is. Maybe there were other people like me in the class, but it didn't seem that way. But I wasn't going to ask a teacher. And as I said, I got busy when I got home and forgot to mention it to my mother. So, who was my strong support.
Right.
And also I was Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was also a very quiet and shy and introverted child.
Yes. And you made a very good point earlier, and I agree with the generational situation, because even my own parents, that whole generation, we were never to speak about anything that happened within the house, very much like what you're sharing. We weren't to talk about politics or any finances. If anyone asked a question, we weren't supposed, like a teacher, we weren't supposed to answer the truth. We were supposed to keep it secret. And I remember that, feeling uncomfortable in school, knowing what I knew, but really couldn't share it. And I think it was up until, I think of Oprah. She was the pioneer with getting people to open up and talk about their stuff. And, and then so the generations coming up feel more comfortable sharing what went on or how they feel or if they feel shame or any of those kinds of things.
Yes, it's a positive change, I feel, that's happening.
Yes.
People are able, and then nobody will say, oh my, or something like that, which would have been what I would have gotten if I had shared anything. And since my parents didn't share anything with me, I didn't know anything. So
Right. And in school you were bullied, and so I know what that's like personally. And so if you had blind as a bat. Oh, well, I'll tell you another funny story. Blind as a bat. When I was, it had to be 7th grade or something, and we were taking a test. And the teacher monitoring the classroom was not someone that the class was familiar with. She was just there to monitor the test. Now, I'm a lefty, and this classroom only had right-armed desk, not a full desk, but you know how the arm L's around, for right-handed people. So I'm sitting in the desk taking the test, and I have to turn all the way to the right so that I can write with my left hand on the little writing pad. And somewhere in the midst of the test, I look up and I start looking around the room. I'm waiting to get some positive feedback from my brain about an answer. And all of a sudden, this substitute teacher comes up to me and accuses me of cheating. Oh. And I'm ready to cry, and I don't know what to say. And the boy who bullied me from kindergarten through 8th grade and always picked on me or pushed me or whatever stood up and said, "Teacher, she can't be cheating. She's blind as a bat," which had the class hysterical, and I don't know whether I was laughing or crying at the time. Yeah, wow. So in a sense, he was sticking up for you, and yet it was...
Yes, and he invited me to the 8th grade dance.
So he did. I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you if you had a chance to talk with him, what would you say since he bullied you? But now hearing that he invited you to the 8th grade dance, how did you feel or what did you feel?
Oh, well, I felt very good about it. I sort of knew it was something like an older brother, although he was the same age. I have an older brother who can be a pain in my butt because he knows exactly how to tease me to get me irritated. And this boy did the same thing. But it was true. At certain times, he also came to my rescue, and especially this was a major thing that I would remember it now that so many years later.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to ask you is, what does sight unseen mean to you?
Okay, that's a very important phrase, because if you look at me, my eyes function outwardly like anybody else's. I blink, I can turn them left and right, I can see. But if you see me read, I'm smelling the book. So sight unseen means I have sight, and you can't see how I see, just like I can't see, although I'd love to see, how you see. I have to hold things very close to my face to see it. Or have, thank goodness for computers, where I can enlarge the print to something that people say, that big? But yes, then I can use the computer freely. And if you notice that my book has a larger print than most paperback books, that I insisted on.
Yes, and I get that. And I think that was a very good choice because it all coincides with your message. Yeah. Well, we are up on... Go ahead.
I've been told I have beautiful eyes. They're brown. They move in every direction that your eyes move. But if I really want to see something, I don't want you to see how I squint. I don't want you to see how thick my glasses are. And also, in the last 4 years, there's a new company that makes e-sight glasses. They look like I'm working in a factory. They're very odd-looking, the newest pair. This is the second pair. But I have become so dependent on them because then I can read any size print. But I have this big halo plastic device around my head, and there's a picture in the book of the e-sight glasses before this, which looked and more like regular glasses, although they were thicker and bigger. This is a big contraption that took away many of the problems of the previous glasses, but has its own problems. But basically, it, for me, works wonderfully because I'm right now I needed it fixed, so I send it back. And today, I realized how dependent I am on those glasses, although I don't like wearing them in public. So I do if I'm going to synagogue or, something where I have to read a book.
Right.
So, and most people who are my friends are used to seeing me and don't comment anymore. And I've gotten a little easier talking about it as to right now. I mean, in the beginning, I couldn't say boo about it. I'd get very emotional. But since it works, why not?
Yes, it sounds like a miracle to me. I mean, I can understand how you must feel, but yet it has been a miracle to have those. I think they look futuristic. Well, we are on a break or up on a break, and everyone stay with us. We'll be back more with Zora and her book, Who is Zora? Sight Unseen, the Dis, and Disability. Stay with us.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seekonk Family Chiropractic in Seekonk, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowd-funded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
If you feel it's time to align with your highest living potential, this powerful group healing event is for you. Take a deep dive into heart-centered consciousness and discover how to activate your inner healer with best-selling author and empathic healer Matt Kahn. Mention discount code DREAM for 20% off when you register for Awakening Your Inner Healer with Matt Kahn at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, September 24th to 26th. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. If you would like to learn more about our station, you can go on our site, Dream Visions, all one word with an S on the end, the number 7radio.com. You can see all our glorious hosts. You can see what we're doing in the community. You can see giveaways and all of that. And I just want to mention about the hosts, each one of them. I love each and every one of them. And they all have either a modality or something that they are utilizing. It's been a gift that they have been given for their work in this lifetime, and it's all about making a difference in people's lives, and we certainly need to be uplifted in this day and age. So if you're tuning in just now, we are with Zora Messing, NatanBlat, and she is the author of Who is Zora? Sight Unseen, the Dis, and Disability. You can also go on her website, and there's actually a download there, right, Zora?
Yes. You want to tell them about it?
Yes. Her site is beyondyourdisability.com, just as it sounds, beyondyourdisability.com. And there's a free download of Beyond Your Disability workbook. Your success is just a challenge away. And so she's giving that away to all the listeners and all the people that come to the website. And so thank you for that, Zora.
Oh, you're welcome. And for me, everything was a challenge. So I found that doing challenges just helped me move along. I didn't even realize that. And so I go by challenges. I push myself with challenges. Well, I bet you can't do this, Zora. You know how they did that as a kid? And then I proved to myself, yes, I can. So
yes, you can, is for sure. With reading your book, you can do anything and everything. So that's amazing. I have to ask you, with writing the book, I know you wrote it to help people, but I bet that you received an awakening of healing yourself as well. Would you agree with that? Yes.
It took me. Yes, I would agree with it. It took me 4 years to write, and I would write from 5 to 7 in the morning because I knew nobody would telephone call me, and my husband wouldn't ask me for something, did you do? That was my time to write. And as I said, it took me 4 years. And it was a very emotional experience. The first chapter I wrote was on challenges because I enjoyed doing walking and I enjoyed the other physical activities that I did, and I did it with friends. I didn't do that alone. And so about 10 years after I did that, I said, if I don't write up my challenges, they're starting to fade. I'll never remember, and nobody will ever believe me. Well, maybe they would, but they might think I'm exaggerating. So I wrote it up, and that became the first chapter, although it's chapter 11, that I wrote of the book. And the rest of the book just flowed. And I must say it was very emotional. I mean, I would sit there and use up a box of tissues very quickly because I would write something and say, I don't want people to know this. Oh, how can I tell them this? How can I tell them how I really felt? How I was hurt? And then on the other hand, I just said, sit at the computer. I was my mother. Sit at the computer and write. So that's how the book came about. And then I had three dear friends who I gave bits and parts of the book and said, what can you do to enhance this? Or how does this sound to you? Or would you want to read something like this? And they were very good at giving me feedback. So that helped my book quite a bit also.
Good. I can't say enough about the emotion because when we've got that it's really our inner child, and it's connecting with our inner child again and having it be part of who we are as an adult and really talking with her as well. So that emotion that was all bottled up all those years, it is healthy for the body and mind to just let it go, you probably may have more to work on because we're constantly healing and working on ourselves the whole time we're here on our journey. And it's okay. There's not a destination. It's something that comes when, in little blips sometimes, but it's all about feeling comfortable in your own skin and loving yourself just the way you are.
Yes, and I started the book. I'm not someone who writes poems, but this poem, as I started writing, came to me, and it's in the first chapter. I know you've read it. It's called I Wrote a Book. Look, I've written a book. It's all about me and how I see. Born legally blind, school was a grind. When the words on the blackboard I did not see, I didn't know how to speak up for me. Book print became smaller as I started to grow taller. At gym, my classmates were mean. Nobody wanted me on their team. I did not want to be seen or heard. In class, I never spoke a word. I made it through school by following the golden rule. That's how I start my book. I don't know where that poem came to me, but it just did, and it seemed to sum up my life.
Yeah, and it flows, and it has a ring to it. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. So as far as the readers, what do you think they're learning about themselves when they read your book?
Well, hopefully they're learning that you can always do something you think you can't do. That's why these challenges came to me, to push me, to prove to me I'm not a dummy, to prove to me I can do this, I can do that. And especially if you challenge yourself with something that you enjoy doing rather than something that you dislike, you know. So it makes you better at what you already enjoy doing. That's why walking and swimming, for me, were such wonderful avenues, and I involved my friends in my activities. You know, they too wanted to walk and be active. So it was a combination of having a friend support me and join me in these physical activities and prove to myself, yes, I can, yes, I can.
Yes. Yes. Some of the things that I enjoyed with the book was you talked about Mary Margaret McBride. When I looked her up. No, I did not. And so I looked her up, and she was quite an icon in her time in radio, for those that may not know, and a woman in radio. I was quite impressed, and your mom knew her well to the point where she came to your home.
Yes, well, my family, my mother's father owned Messing Bakeries, which was a famous kosher bakery in Brooklyn in the 1940s and 50s. And so that my mother did advertisements for the bakery on Mary Margaret's program. And every so often she would take me to listen to and watch a program, and Mary Margaret and I developed a friendship, and it was so beautiful. And as I said, I visited her in her studio, and she came and had lunch at our house a couple of times. And it was having an older woman take me under her wing. It was like another grandma, but not, not that close a relationship, but a nice, friendly, with someone who was very important at that time in radio.
Right. Yeah, I was really impressed and surprised, and reading about her life was quite interesting, so I thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. She was a delightful person.
And I also, some other things that I liked when you shared the Jewish traditions and you explained it in depth, because, not everybody gets a full understanding unless they're living with the traditions. And I also loved the way you were looking for Louise or something about her when you went to the Bahamas. So I enjoyed how you spoke of her and, the different things.
Louise was like a second mother to my brother and I. Louise was our cook, housekeeper. She was in my family before I arrived. And she was devoted to my father. They got along really well. And she was a good cook, a good housekeeper, and she was a second mother to my brother and I. And every once in a while we'd try to annoy her, and she would pick up a spoon and she'd hold it over her head and she'd shake it, and she said, "Chillin'?" And we knew at that point, as children, we better behave, or the spoon would, well, she never hit us or anything, but that was her threat, that we were misbehaving or going too far in the wrong direction. And so she was she wasn't like another mother. When I came home from school, she was usually, if it was Tuesday, Wednesday, she was ironing in the kitchen. So Robert and I would sit down and have milk and cookies, and we'd discuss the news or something that was happening in the world. And then she'd send us off to do our homework. But she was a very important person in our growing up life.
Yes.
And so she was born in Barbados, and before she went home to Barbados, she came to our house on a Sunday to say goodbye to us. And I remember, I'm getting teary already, I remember walking her out from the apartment to the taxi cab to take her home after that visit. And we both hugged each other and cried because we knew that we would never see each other. And for a while, we wrote back and forth, and she became blind, and her relatives wrote for her. And then eventually, of course, she passed away. So one of the places my husband and I went to was Barbados, where she was born and raised. And it was such a feeling. I didn't know where her house was. I didn't even know her maiden name. I only knew her married name. It's funny how you know so little bit about a person who means so much to you. And yet I was able to leave. I brought a wooden spoon because that was what she used to stir things or to raise up when Robert and I were misbehaving. And I brought this, and we went to a beautiful garden, and I just put it on a stone under a tree where it wouldn't be seen immediately. And that was my little thank you to Louise. It was basically her wooden spoon.
Yeah, it was very sweet, and I was moved by that, Zora.
Yeah. She was so special to our whole family, but especially to my brother and I. She gave us wisdom in different ways than our parents did. She never really reprimanded us as parents might. And she was always there for a hug and always there to say good job or whatever.
So. Beautiful. Well, we are taking another break. So everyone stay with us, more with Zora and her journey through life, and it's just fascinating. So thank you, and we'll be back in a moment.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Connect with the other side with psychic medium Bill Phillips and receive inspiring messages of peace, healing, and hope. Gain the skills to recognize signs from spirit that your deceased loved ones are still influencing your life's journey. Mention discount code DREAM for 20% off when you register for Signs from Spirit with Bill Phillips at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, September 3rd to 5th. Learn more at eomega.org.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids Children's Book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to happy. Sacred stories of transformational joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Cannabis. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. Zora, do you feel comfortable talking about your letter to Cookie? Because that, for me, was very moving as well.
Cookie was my childhood name. And I don't know who gave that name to me, but I guess because I was of a bakery family, it seemed to fit. Mm-hmm. I, at one point, decided I needed to find out who I really was. So I went back to my childhood, and I wrote a letter saying to Cookie, my childhood self, it's okay. I just need to know more. I want to know what you're feeling. I feel for you. I know your struggle. I know what you went through. I honor you. And then Cookie wrote back a letter to me saying, thank you, and I admire you, and you helped me grow up, and you helped me see things as they really are. I see through different eyes. I see through your eyes, and I see through the world's eyes. And so it was just, here was me as a child, here is me as an adult, and trying to put the two people as one person. I was trying to figure out, really, who am I? Who was I? Mm-hmm. How did I get to be that way? And for Cookie, I could be very compassionate. For somebody else, I would say, how dare they do that? You know, mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us do that. Maybe we don't express it that way, but.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. So, I mean, when you think of going back now and everything that you've experienced and accomplished and just who you are today, if you could change anything, would you?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Well, I would like to be a blonde. I'm a brunette. But that I guess that I could do. But no, I think because of my struggle, although I didn't realize it was a struggle as I was going through it, made me who I am today. And I had a mother who wasn't a pushy mother, but was one who knew how to guide me without really being there, you know. Mm-hmm. I wasn't given very many restrictions. I was told until I was 12 years old not to cross the street by myself. And I understood that because I lived in Brooklyn, and the street in front of me was Ocean Avenue, which was a very busy street with 2 lanes of traffic in each direction. And the straight behind where I lived was Flatbush Avenue, which was a shopping avenue, and even busier. And crossing the street would make me nervous. So what I would do is, there were traffic lights, this is the city, at every corner. And there was always someone waiting for the traffic light. And when I was younger, I would go to the grandmother-type woman and say, excuse me, miss, will you please hold my hand as we cross the street? And they would smile at me, and they'd hold my hand. And as soon as I got to the other side, I didn't want to be questioned. Who are you? Why are you going? I just ran away. And sometimes I had to be careful because it was a neighborhood where my grandma lived too, and a lot of those old ladies could have been, some of them were my grandmother's friends, so they knew who I was. So it was an interesting time, but that was the one rule, the only rule I followed, because I needed to feel safe. And I knew I wasn't safe crossing. You know, cars would turn quickly, or, yes, I could see the lights changing, but do I step in the street now, or do I wait till somebody is standing near me?
So, yes. Well, I also wanted to bring up your Costa Rica trip because for a couple of things. Kudos to you for taking that trip out of the country by yourself. Going through the airport, getting on the plane, all of that, and then because it's a different country, you've got papers to sign, and you were able to, ask someone to help you. But what I had a belly laugh when I was reading it, because you were saying, was towards the end with all the finding your luggage and all, you were saying, well, the guardian angels were with me, but then you said they just wanted you to sweat a little. And I thought that was so funny. I love that line where, you knew that you had guidance, but they wanted you to sweat a little first.
Right. Well, that was, my husband dropped me off at the plane. That was a writing retreat that I had gone to where I knew nobody. When I first got there, I made some very good friends while I was there. And I was at first embarrassed. I had a computer, but I was embarrassed to work around people because I didn't want them to see the size of the print I had on my computer. I didn't want them to see what a ninny I could be, But one of the teaching instructors sort of sat beside me and we became friends, and I eased up and I said, I'm here to learn to write. I'm here to start get my book going. And I got some very good advice and very good help. And when we first would sit in a circle as authors to be, or some people had written other books before, I was very shy about saying anything, and by the end I was chatty Cathy. So it was very helpful for me. I knew I pushed myself to go, and the airport was a problem. And usually if I travel by myself, I put big adhesive tape Z's on my luggage or something that I can identify right away, as mine. So
right.
As it's going around the wheel, I can say, that one's mine, there's a big Z on it, and some man might help me take it off. But most of my traveling is usually with my husband, except when I do things like that. And, of course, I can't read the signs, which doesn't help. I have to constantly ask for, I'm going to, where is this plane? Where is this? But I got there, and people are nice most of the time.
Right. When they know you need help, most everybody is willing to help. Yeah, and sometimes you come across people that may not be as kind, but then if you persist, then they will realize that you need the help one way or the other, regardless of why.
That is true.
Yeah. Well, we only have a few minutes left. What do you want to leave the listeners with?
Well, first, I'd like to say hello and thank all my friends who I know are listening in on this program. You'd be surprised how many emails I sent out. You won't guess what I'm going to be doing. So I'm sure it has enlarged your audience. So I want to thank them and thank your audience for listening. This has been wonderful. I, as I said, was always a very private person, and the book has opened me up. And talking like this has helped me not stumble over talking about eye problems and vision, where before I wouldn't approach the subject. I would just walk away. So I am changing for the positive, which I think is good. And I am getting to know me better. Yes. And I'm getting to know where I can push me to be more of who I want to be than hiding.
Beautiful. There you go. Yes, and embracing ourselves. And I think you need to give yourself more credit, Zora. I don't know you personally, but with all that you, again, have aspired to and pushed yourself to accomplish it under the circumstances, you have really excelled, and it just shows that anyone with a disability of sorts can, I mean, look at, you mentioned Stephen Hawking in the book, look at all the people that have aspired regardless, and I think it's just believing in themselves and taking that risk.
Yes, taking the risk and saying, I'm going to try this. It might fail, and then I won't tell anybody about it. But I might succeed and boast. So most of the time I've been able to succeed. Yes, I can say there have been some failures, but I'm not going to tell you about them.
Yeah, and we all have missteps, and it is all just part of life. So I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing your journey and inspiring others to take that first step. And everyone get the book, Who is Zora? Sight Unseen, the Dis and Disability. And don't forget to go on her website, beyondyourdisability.com, just as it sounds, beyondyourdisability.com. You can download free the workbook for in the same name, Your Success is Just a Challenge Away. So thank you again for gracing our airwaves with the joy of who you are. And I truly believe that even though our journeys do have many challenges, there's always a little nugget, a little gift that comes with it that wouldn't be there had we not had, that challenge. So, and you're a perfect example.
Being on your show has been a gift to me. Thank you, Deborah.
Oh, you're welcome, Zora. You're welcome. And thank you for all the information that I learned. So until the next time we come together, everyone, in love and harmony and unity, bye for now.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week, all designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.